Okay, for the outer edges, we are going to do the same thing we did with the others. We're going to cut the corners off like this. And you just want to leave that little bit close to the edge. Now with these side pieces, you want to make sure you have material all around the whole outside. Okay. And because we're only doing 3 sides, it gets a little more technical. Normally I would put 2 or 3 of these together on one piece and then just make them one solid piece. But because we're doing this differently, let's just make it harder on ourselves. Okay, so you have to decide which side is going to be up. Okay, so that's going to be my top. So we're going to glue our little edges. My paintbrush has probably gone hard, yep. Okay. And the same thing, we want to turn that little piece in and just fold it over. And that's all we're doing to this piece, is we're only gluing the top piece in. Okay, we're going to do the same thing to the other one. Okay, so I've just glued in that top piece and I'm folding that little edge in. Okay, so there's my 2 top pieces, and then this one I'm going to fold my top piece in, and you want to make sure that that piece is all the way in. Okay, and then we're going to do the sides on this longer piece. Just the sides and the top. I'm going to curl that little piece in. And you want to try and keep this corner as flat as you can. Okay, so there we go, that's done. So now we're going to take your box, and I want my, if I have my book like this, the box is going to go here. I need to cover this side, and this side. So what I want to do is cover this. This piece is going to get glued here. And then I'm going to glue my flap down on either side and my bottom flap down like that. So I'm going to add a little glue here, and you can push that side in. You can put the glue on this and use your brush, or you can put it on the side of the box, whichever you prefer. Whichever is easiest for you. Okay, let me put this on the side, and you just want to line up the top like that. I'm just going to move this book out of the way. And normally I let the box, excuse me. Alrighty, sorry about that. Phone just keeps ringing here. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue my flaps down to the other side like that. And I'm just wiping my fingers off on a towel close by. And then I'm going to glue my bottom flap down. And that's why I like to kind of smoosh the glue out a little bit, because then it doesn't ooze as much. Okay, so there's that one side. Now we're going to do the other side. I'm just going to do it on here, see if it's easier. Okay, whoop. And we're going to put this piece on here. And then again, you want to just glue down your little flaps. So if you want to, between putting these on, letting your box dry a little bit more, please do. I normally do. I will go off and work on something else while this is gluing, while the box is drying, but because I'm showing you all in one, and I know my husband will be in any minute to bug me to go for a walk or something. I'm trying to get this all completed. Now you can take some of the masking tape, because this is fabric. You can take some of the masking tape if you like, or painter's tape, and just squeeze it and tape your edges down a little bit to hold that fabric down on the edges here, if you don't have glue that's really tacky. That's why I like to use Fabri-Tac when I'm doing fabric on fabric, but this Well-Debond seems to work really well. Like I said, she does use Elmer's Glue All, and I just haven't been able to find it in stock. They keep saying it's available at Walmart, and then you go there and it's not there, so I'm just using my Well-Debond. Okay, so I've got my two ends done, and again, this is going to go up against the spine like this, and it's going to be glued there, so I don't need to cover this side. You have to make sure you glue the right side. You don't glue it upside down. I want my pens on the right hand side because I'm right-handed. So now I'm going to glue. See how I've got my little flaps over here, and I've finished these two edges. This is going to go on here like this, and then all we have to do is glue the bottom flap over. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the side here. And make sure you get it. Don't go right over the edge, but you want to get up to the edge there. Okay. And then you're going to take this piece, and you want to make sure you don't have any little pieces sticking out the corner here. Just have a little raw edge sticking out there. Okay. And then this guy is going to go on the front here, and it should be exactly the same length as your side. Now I think I did mine just a smidge too short, but you really literally want this to go right to the edges of your box like that. And again, if you want to add a little bit of masking tape to the edge to hold that down, you can, because it will peel off the fabric easier once it's dry. So that's just going to hold that in place for me, and then I'm going to do my bottom here. Oops. And because this is going to be glued to the inside cover of the book, we do not need to put a base on this. If I was doing a box, a caddy or something like that, I would then actually cut a piece of the Bristol board or the file folder or whatever it is you're using like this, and you would make a base, and that would cover up the bottom of your box if you wanted the bottom of your box to be nice and covered. Okay, now I normally get these little bowl clips, and because there's a little bit of fabric here I will grab a bull clip and just try and pinch that corner in. See how you get a little bit of bulk there? You can put masking tape, but I just find the bull clips kind of grab it and squish it. So I put that on. So there's your box, and I'm going to put a little bit of tape. If I can get some off. There we go. 2 little pieces of tape, and I'm just going to tape this piece down tight to hold that piece. And again, this is going to come off. We're just using it to pull our material nice and tight. Okay, so there's our box. Our divider is glued in. Our edges are done. We're going to work on this little piece next. And then this will go inside here like that. And that piece will get glued up. See, I leave 1/4 of an inch on the front, and then I only leave about 1/8 of an inch. Now I think for this one I want to leave a little bit more of the edges. Let me just get it in position here. So that's what the box is going to look like. See how I have about 1/4 of an inch around the whole outside? That's going to be what my box looks like. So I'm just going to leave that there. And then for this one, this is going to be going this way. So the smaller side where the material is skinnier. And then all I'm going to do is cut up a little bit there. And cut on a little bit of an angle there. Not right to the corners, I'm leaving a little bit of material there. And then for this, I'm going to do the long side. And you want to pull those little corners in and make sure they're glued down. Okay, and then we're going to do the short sides. So I don't know about everyone out there, but I'm finding it's getting busier where we live. We're a small town, but it's a beach community, so we get a lot of people coming up for the summer. Last weekend, Canada Day, or you guys had July 4th, we have July 1st. It got really busy here, and there was fireworks and people everywhere, and we were very cautious. We stayed close to home. We were worried about spreading the disease for people that were coming up just to visit their cottages or visiting family. So we tried to steer clear of the grocery stores and stuff like that because they were a lot busier than they normally are. All right, I'm just going to move this box. Now for this piece, we've glued the 2 sides. So it will go like this inside the book. And then you're going to glue this little piece of fabric down to the spine as well. Because when you put your box in here, it's going to butt up against the spine. And I'm just going to trim this little bit back. I don't want it sticking out that far. I want it in line with my fabric. Now, before I glue this on, this is where you decide if you want to add your book plate. You can add the book plate and poke it through, which I did with this one, whereas my book and my other one, I just glued the book plate to it and the little brads are underneath. But if you want to do this way, you're going to have to go ahead and put your brad and everything on, or your book plate and everything on now. And all I did was, this was a little scrap of the fabric that was left over from when I made this book. I had a little piece left over from covering that. So that's all I used for behind the book plate, was a piece of this fabric. And I think what I'll do is, see if I can rip this. Yeah, that ripped all right. Just let me grab a book plate. Yeah, so I'm going to need it to be cut right about here. There we go. That's about the height I want. Get away. And I just have to cut some of the sides off. So let's do this one. Might not be able to rip it, it's so small. You just have to cut it. And then fray it. All right, let's see if that works. Yeah, that'll be about there. So I just glue my, I'm gonna use my Fabri-Tac just to make things easier on myself here. Let's decide where we want this. Right about there, and then that's going to go on top right there, like that. Okay, so I'm just going to take my marker, and I'm going to line up my little book plate where I want it, and then I'm just going to make a little mark with my marker. Grab my awl. I'll just grab this little punch board that I have, a Sizzix punch board, and that's going to go underneath. I'll just move this out of the way. And I line that up, and then I'm just going to punch my awl right in, and it goes right into the punch, or the board. There we go. Like that. So I've got two holes, and then I'm just going to grab my brads. Let's see, I'll use these ones. Those two will work. All right, and then I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the edge of my book plate, just so that it will grab and hold it in place. Right there. And then I'm going to put this little brad in there, and the other brad in there. Flip it open. Let's just use this little awl thing. Spread the little legs out. And then I just use the end of my awl and push on the little legs, right in the center of the little legs, to flatten it out. Like that. And I've got a big mess here. And then I like to grab masking tape and just put it over top of the little feet so that they don't poke through anything if I'm just using that file folder piece. I'm just worried that they might poke through, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of tape over that, like that. And then this is where we're going to add the glue to the back of our piece, and we're going to glue this in place like this, and we're going to glue this fabric down as well. Okay. I don't know how much time I have left on my phone, so okay. So let's just spread this out. Try not to get it on my punch board. And then for this one, I just put little tiny dots of glue right at the edges so that they will stick. And I guess we can, oh, I'll just do that one last. We just want to make sure that's nice and tight on there. And again, I might grab some of those little bowl clips. Just keep a little. And I would add masking tape to this, but I'm right where the denim and the book plate meet, or this piece of fabric meet, I'm just going to put a little bowl clip there just to grab it. And then the rest of it you can add masking tape or just kind of press it until it sticks. Maybe your corners. And let's just glue this last little piece here. Okay. So that's going to be glued there. And this piece is there, so it's covered your outside, and you've got your little book plate, and I'll let that dry, and then I'll just put a little word in there as well. So we're going to let this dry, but then what you do is you take your box and you line it up again right up against that. So you want to pull that flap up, and you want to place the box where you want it, and you want to make sure that its side is right up against that spine. And you're going to, I'm just going to squeeze that a bit, and you're going to add some glue to the bottom of this. And then once I get this box in, I'm going to weigh it down with some weights. Again, we're going to lift that flap up, kind of get it in position as to where we want it. Okay, like that. So I know the box is going there. I think I have to glue that divider a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is add some glue here and along the edge of my box here. You don't want it to be dripping wet, but you want to make sure you got enough on there so that it will grab. And then what I normally do is I will get my spine up like this, and I'm going to put it, I have a cabinet over here, and I'm going to take these off. I'm going to close the box, and I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to take these weights off, or these bowl clips off. And I'm literally going to put it upside down, and I'm going to push it up against the side of a bookcase. So the bookcase side is here, and I'm going to push it up against the side of the bookcase, and I'm going to get my little iron here, and I'm going to set that down like that. But I'm going to make sure that it's pushed right up against the side of the bookcase so that it will hold my spine up against that spine of the book. And I'm just going to let it dry. I'm just going to put it overnight. And we're going to let that dry, and then I'll show you how I add on my little clips in the morning. I'm going to work on putting the finishing touches on the journal, and I haven't done this one either, so I'll probably do both of them at the same time. But what we're going to be doing is adding the little ball pin, our little elastic with eyelet on the side. So I've got my book plate in. What I'm just going to do now is take my ruler, and sorry for the light, it's going to have lots of shadows because it's in the evening. I've let everything dry. So I'm going to take the half measurement, which is about 3.5-ish, and that won't work because it's yellow, so let me grab a pencil. So right about there would be the center of my book. Right, 3.5, oh sorry, no it isn't. 3.5, so it's 3 3/4, which is there plus 2, so it's going to be down here more. Alright, so I'm just measuring the middle of my book. So it's 3 3/4, and then one line, so right about there. Okay. And I'm going to do it on, this one isn't quite dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my book here. And I'm going to take my heavy iron, and I'm just going to set it inside my book to hold that spine close. So let's work on, push this forward here. Let's work on this one. So I'm just going to take my crocodile thingy here, and I'm going to punch a hole in the side of this. Actually, let me just get my bigger one here. For the hole, because we're just using this little ball pin and screw, the screw is really, really tiny. So I'm just going to use my 1/8 punch to punch a hole in there. So I'm going to open up my box. It doesn't open all the way, but I'm just going to slide this in here and punch a hole in that part of the book. Where's my little punch? Right there. Of course I can't do it. There we go. And then I just trim off the excess material here. That should be great. And then I just put the little screw part of this little ball pin through the hole. And I'm going to take a flat screwdriver. I'm just going to hold it straight where I want it. And then I'm just going to screw this on. Like that. And I'm going to hold that ball pin and I'm just going to turn it until it's nice and tight. So there we go. There's our little ball pin on the front. And then I'm just going to mark right there for my little eyelet. Probably could have gone in a little bit farther, but that's okay. And I'm going to use the larger hole here. And I'm just going to punch down a hole down into the side of the box. I move my hair out of my face. Right about there. And we're going to trim that up. And I'm going to take an eyelet and I'm going to put that in there. And that was probably a little too close to the edge, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to punch my eyelet. Just so it holds it. And then I think I'm going to take a piece of this white elastic. And I don't know how big a piece I'm going to need. Let me just see if this little piece will work. This is just a little scrap that I have left over. It probably should work. So then what I do is I take a piece of elastic, and again, this is just a little tiny scrap that I have left over. It's about 2 3/4 to 3 inches long. It's not very long at all. And I have these little tiny crimping pins. They go on the ends of elastics. I call them little feet. And I'm just going to get my crimper. And you are literally going to add this. Slide the elastic into the little crimping iron. And I normally burn the edges of my elastic. Just going to slide that in there. And then you're just going to go ahead, oh, there goes my printer shutting off. And you're just going to crimp these closed, and it's going to hold your elastic in. So that when you put it through the box, it will grab like that. Let's go ahead and put this guy in on this end. Just going to crimp that side and crimp this side. And I just ordered these off of Amazon. These little elastic crimpers. And then you literally open up your box and slide your elastic through the hole. And just make sure that your feet go flat on the inside. Like that. I'm just going to see that I can see it. There. So your feet are nice and flat. You close your book and you put your elastic around the end. And that's how you just finish off. Now you can put 2 eyelets and you can tie them with some sari ribbon if you want to use sari ribbon. You can put your eyelet farther down inside the box. But that's literally all I do to finish them off, is just put the little ball pin and the elastic. And you just slide that off and open it up, and you've got your little sticker inside, you've got your little box for your pencils and your paper. And that is the basics for my hide-a-box journal. And I'm going to go ahead and add a ball pin on this fella. Again, I've marked my centerpiece right about here. And you can use your 1/8 punch. You punch the hole. I'm just going to go there. Like that. Get out my little ball pin and the screw. I have to order some more of these. Pop it in the hole. Move that out of the way. And I'm just going to add the screw on. You just get it going. And then I'm going to add my screwdriver into the inside here and turn it. Hold your ball pin and just turn your screw a couple times. So it's a little tighter. There you go. So there's that one. And then you punch the hole in the side. So let me clean that hole out. There we go. And then you're just going to punch that hole in the side of the box. Let's just mark where we want it. I think I'm going to go a little farther down if I can. Just going to fight with it here. I'm in the right spot, but it's going to be a tight fit because of the lip of my book here. Oh God, it's really close to the edge. I don't want it that close. And I'm just going to add my little eyelet. And we're going to punch it closed. There we go. And again, I'm just going to take a little piece of elastic, probably about 3 inches is all I need. And then I will just put my little crimpers on, and that will just go like that. That is the closures for the journals. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Sorry I didn't give you the exact measurements, but every journal is going to be a little different. They're not all going to turn out exactly the same. So I just wanted to give you the basics. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this little piece to slide in there. And that will go in. It has to be a little bit smaller. And that will just slide in like that. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I'll try and leave a little list of the supplies that I used below, and maybe some, I don't think I used too much really, that supplies wise that you would need to purchase. You just want to use your own material, your own book covers, the different kind of glue that I used. I'll put that all in the supplies a little below the video. Please subscribe to my channel, and we'll hope to see you real soon. Bye for now.